live.
Let's do this. What's going on,
Again.
Julio?
Let's get it again, man. So,
Episode number 2.
yep, and more to come. Yeah. So we did the dry run last time. It was a good one. It was fun. We had some good views.
Why you look nervous for? You good?
I don't like the background, but it's a
You
little,
look good, man. You look good.
it's a little shiny this sun. And then today we're sponsored by Pacificos.
Cheers.
So, cheers.
No,
We're not
we
sponsored.
don't encourage
We're not encouraged.
day drinking, but you know, it's all good.
Yeah, man. So
How's your week?
good, man. Busy.
Yeah, I know.
Got a lot going on. As you know, I'm trying to start little things on the side for the business, so it's going good.
You're doing a lot. If you guys don't know, if you ever asked to see Julio's calendar, oh man,
Yeah.
finding spot in that calendar, I need to get on that level. I tried getting a calendar, but I put one thing in and I never bring it up again. And your time slots are pretty full, man.
Yeah, man.
It's crazy. So, recap. Last week we had a volunteer event. Yeah, Oath to Country partnered up with Oath to Country. We're doing a lot of work with Justin and them. Hopefully we can have them on the podcast soon. We had a good turnout. It was a good event. It was nice and cool. We had a lot of people show up for that. So we'll have a lot more of that coming up too. Future plans. We got some future things coming up for EMT, as you're well aware of. We're trying to get this thing going and, you know, get people more involved and have some fun. So we put out some announcements. But we got a meeting coming up in July.
July 12th.
I think we have a really good speaker for that one. So be on the lookout.
Yeah, but I went to an event a week ago with a buddy of mine, Renee, the tax doctor. Shout out to you. Yeah, he was a great speaker. He talks about relationship, men, women, young adults. You know, he was a great speaker. I connected with him. I reached out to him. So shout out to him on short notice. So he'll be there for sure.
Absolutely. I know you told me about him and I'm pumped. I'm excited. We'll put some information out there for everybody to take a look at. Hopefully everybody gets excited for that and shows up for the 12th. We're looking for about maybe an hour and a half for that meeting. We sent out some correspondence via email to everybody just to get an idea of what people want to do and how long they want these meetings to go. From the consensus that I got so far, it seems like an hour and a half is a good time slot.
Yeah.
So we'll give them some time. Anybody that's interested in coming and being a special guest speaker at one of our meetings, please reach out to me or Julio or Rich. We'll be more than happy to have you. You know, we want to get these things filled up and we're excited to have people come on. Same thing with the podcast. You know, we're doing our first couple of dry runs. Just me and you. We want Coach Rich to be here. He has a busy schedule as well, so we'll get him on soon. But reach out to us and let us know if you want to be on the podcast, and we'll be more than happy to get you set up on here. Right after that, we have an August poker tournament.
Drunk. I don't know how to play. I know how to lose and donate. I'm a good donor. You know, I donate a lot of money, but yeah, it's gonna be a good event. We're still trying to figure out how to structure the whole thing, but definitely it's going to be a fundraising event. We're thinking of doing a lot of fundraising with the money we get there to give back to the community. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, fundraising that's coming up. October, November, and December is coming around. Thanksgiving and Christmas. Like we were talking about, we want to be big in the community and volunteer as much as we can as a group. Empowering men together. We're not just about ourselves. We want to help everybody else, and we want to empower everybody. And as men, I think that's our role to be able to lead and you know, help be a part of that and be the one stepping forward to initiate that type of, you know, those type of events, volunteering, giving back to those that are, you know, less fortunate and needy and stuff like that. You know, use what we got for good. You know what I mean? And I think coming up in November and December, is a great time to give back to the community. So we'll be putting out more information on that and trying to find some events to get into.
Yeah. So just, yeah, that's great. And I mean, just from that, I'll segue straight into the category we chose today, right? Yeah. So today we talked about a category. We kind of want to separate each podcast, but obviously they're going to run into each other. But, you know, we were texting back and forth and said, what's a good thing to talk about right now? And I think, Carlos, you said fatherhood, right? So,
right. I think that's a lot of us have in common. You know, a lot of us have that in common. And I think that's the main focus of, you know, why we want to empower each other as men. You know, a lot of us do have family, whether it's immediate family, kids, spouse, or just, you know, your parents, things of that nature. You know, that topic right there will hit home to a lot of people. And you know, I think that's a good topic to start off on, you know?
I mean, I think we can start with you, right? I think you're the one that started the youngest being a father, so that had to be tough. I had, I was in my 30s when I had my first. Yeah, I was in my
Oh
30s when I
yeah,
had my, and I think you were just getting there. You were what, 18?
18. Yeah, 18 when
But how
yeah,
was
they
it? How
found
was it
out.
like before that? Were you planning? It just happened. I
No,
mean, it
so
just
I'm gonna be brutally honest. Hold
yeah,
on.
yeah. Same here. I'll be. Cheers to that.
Cheers. So driving over here right now, I was thinking about the topics and the discussions and stuff like that, and I'm like, man, how real and how honest do I want to be? Like, are people going to navigate towards my shit show of a life that I had and stuff like that? And I'm like, you know what? You know me, I've
Well,
never been shy
yeah,
and
well,
never
that's what we
been.
did this, to be honest with each other, right? And then we're open and honest, any guests that we have, we want them to be the same thing. So,
And you know me, I'm always with everybody. I've always been an open book. I'm not ashamed of my past. I'm not ashamed of the things I've gone through, and I've been through shit. And it made me who I am today. You
yeah,
know what I
right.
mean?
I
And
mean, that's everyone, yeah, for sure.
a lot of people do say that, and I may not have a lot and stuff like that, but I'm happy. I'm content with where I'm at and who I am, and I'm happy with who I am. So I'm not afraid to, be an open book. So, all right, yeah.
That being said,
With that being said,
disclaimer.
I was 18 when Alex's mom told me she was pregnant, and I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't want to have him. I moved out when I was 17 years old on my own. I rented out a room, working at Burger King, riding my bike to work, going back to school, trying to just get my diploma and finish. So at that time of my life, I was barely making, I didn't have a mom and dad. I didn't have family, nobody to take care of me or anything like that. So I was just trying to survive, I was a kid,
Yeah.
So when she told me that she was pregnant, we had that conversation where it's like, hey, like, I'm not ready. Like, let's not have it. I can't really take care of myself. You want me to bring somebody into this world? And, no, like, so I brought up, that word, that abortion word. And, she told me straight out, she was like, hey, with or without you, I'm going to have him.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, all right, well, it's not my kid's fault. It's all my fault. It's my bad. Like, I got us in this situation. So I could have had a couple choices to make. Either, skip out and run, or man up and put my big boy pants on and be like, hey, you know what? Because of my selfish needs, I have to bring a child in this world, So I made a decision, no matter what the situation was, I was going to be there for him. I was going to, once she made that decision, I was scared, absolutely scared. Not at one point in that time where I'm still scared now, raising kids,
Yes.
I was like, all right, now I got a reason to live and work hard for. I got to start grinding, like I got another mouth to feed. I found out I was a boy, and I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going to have me a little boy. His name is Alex. I named him after my older brother and my younger brother because, again, like, I've been on my own since I was 17, so they weren't ever around. So I named him after him. And then I didn't have a dad. I didn't have a dad growing up. So the way I learned, or the way I thought being a parent was doing the opposite of what I had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything that I didn't have, I want to make sure I gave to my kid. All the attention I didn't get, I made sure I, made it a point to give it to him and stuff like that. So nobody was there to teach me anything or teach me right from wrong. You know what I mean? It was just, trial and error, and just more of a natural paternal instinct. What I'm doing is right or wrong, and when it came to being a dad, I could look people straight in the face. I could look my ex in the face and be like, hey, you know what? I may have not been the best partner, but I know I'm a hell of a dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I hear you, man. I'm kind of the opposite of you. I had my kid when I was already in my 30s, and
You're a grown man already.
yeah, I was already a grown man, and I wasn't, I'm being honest too as well. I wasn't that nice of a man growing up, right? So when I met my wife right now, we met in rough times, and it took a while. Same thing with her. She always says she saved me, right? She says, I saved you. She called them cucarachas.
And, I mean,
When you see it, you're gonna laugh. So yeah, so she saved me from the cucarachas, and yeah, I mean, yeah,
that's funny.
it's funny, yeah, but yeah, it's you
But
know,
is she?
She did.
She
Yeah,
did?
yeah, she
That's
did.
good.
Only, yeah. But yeah, I mean, going back to I have a, my firstborn is a boy. His name is Giovanni, Giovanni Cesar Jimenez.
Okay, man.
Took my middle name, and yeah, it took a while. I was, we dated, for a couple of years. We were engaged for a few years, and then we got married for a couple of years after that. And then, I wanted a kid the whole time, and she was like, "No, you gotta prove it to me." And this, I mean, after a while, obviously I did, and I was ready and ready. And then, the time, she told me that we were pregnant. I just balled up. I cried. It was an emotional day, but I think, I wasn't ready. I mean, I don't know if I
Nobody
was.
ever
Yeah,
is
yeah,
ready, but
yeah,
it sounded like
yeah,
it's what you wanted.
yeah. I definitely wanted. I mean, nobody's ready for fatherhood. Anybody that you talk, especially being a dad for the first time, it's like, I had one guy at the gym ask me the other day, hey, my firstborn is coming. What do I prep? And this person is telling me this, but it's like, we can all tell you what to do, but you don't know until it gets there.
Yeah,
But yeah, man, like I say, I'm not, it's funny that we're doing this because you see, both sides. You
that's
have
wild.
yours, you were young, and me, it's like I wanted a kid, and I was praying and hoping, and it finally happened. We tried for a couple of years, nothing really happened, and I was to the point that, hey, I need to go get checked out, see what's going on, and it just happened. I
That's
guess,
different.
yeah,
That's wild, man.
it's
Like
wild how
you're a
things
good dude.
happen.
You're a good dude. That's yeah. Like it's just crazy how we're like, and this with everybody. Everybody, there's different sides of the tracks. You know what I mean? And how it happens and how it unfolds and everything like that. Um, But even though that we go through these different types of situations and different, we
Yeah,
lead in different directions, we deal with a lot of similarities, a lot of, and that's what we'll talk about, some of the topics that we'll go over. But yeah, like with you and your children all from your wife, right?
yeah.
So
I have a boy and a
open
girl.
book. I have three baby mamas, and it's a running joke. And everybody that knows me knows that. I was just, like, oh, one thing I always kept in mind, though, and one thing I always told my kids, like, in real world, like in the best case scenario, I would want to be like you were, like you are, having all my children with just one mother.
Mm.
Who wants to have, baby mamas and stuff like that? But that's just, the
It's life. I mean, there's
life,
nothing wrong with it. Yeah, like, but you're doing great. Great, amazing job. I see
Sure.
your daughter.
Appreciate that,
I know
man.
you just became going to become a
I'm about to be a
grandpa.
grandpa. Yeah, my oldest
And
one.
then your boys coming here to the gym, and your daughter's at the gym. I see it, man. And then when I see you with them, I can see that. I can see that reflection, which
I
is good.
appreciate that,
You're
man.
always with them. There's sometimes that's like, hey, let's do this, and you're like, no, I have to be with my daughter, and right away I was like, yep, do what you got to do because as the father, you have to be there.
That's
You have to. I mean,
out of everything. I think that's my biggest point, and one thing that people could take out of me as a father. And the subject was when I was young, when I had Alex. So I was still out there partying. I was still out there running the streets. I was still out there doing all the stuff that you shouldn't do. But one thing that I always made sure of is that, when it came to my kids, when it came to the weekends, like even when I separated with my exes or whatever, all that played a back burner to my kids' time. When Friday hit, I had a routine. I would pick up my kid, we'd hang out all weekend. All my boys, people call me up, hitting me
yeah,
up to go do stuff. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't go. I got my kids. And it wasn't a bad thing. It actually, it's weird because when I separated with Alex's mom, after about 5 6 years of trying, I was devastated. I was devastated because I didn't want to be a part-time dad. And that was one thing that I made sure that I was a part-time dad. Like
yeah,
I was, I cried. I was like, dude, I'm going to only see him on my days off and stuff like that. But then we turned it into a kind of a positive thing. Me and my son, we would talk every day. When I'm at work, I'll call him and stuff like that. And be like, hey, you ready for Friday? He'd
yeah.
be like, yeah, Pops, I'm ready for Friday. As soon as I got off of work Friday, go and pick him up. And then he would be with me all weekend. Never missed a
So
weekend. I could probably tell you one time, maybe I missed one weekend picking him up or a day off. That was my priority. And that was not only my responsibilities, but what we look forward to. And I think that separation brought us a lot closer together, me and my son. You know what I mean? And looking back at it, and, I started realizing that, like, hey, I'm not a part-time dad. I'm making sure I'm involved in his life. I'm making sure that I'm there, I'm present, but the time that we are in our way brings us closer together.
Yeah.
And it was weird seeing that. It was crazy seeing that. You know what I mean?
Yes, I don't understand. I guess everybody has their own, their own things going on in life, so I just don't understand when I see these. I don't want to say it, but
Hey, bro, I know what you're going
yeah,
to.
I know you see these dads, they're just like out of
Deadbeat dads,
they're
bro.
deadbeat dads, man. I don't know, it makes my blood boil. It's like, especially these kids, it's rough. I mean, believe me, every day I'm thinking is like, you got to work and it's rough, man. I was talking to my wife last night and I was telling her we're going to talk about fatherhood today. And she was like, I was there, the kids were screaming. And I was like, man, I need to go take a shower because these kids are driving me nuts. I just need to get away, and I get home and I stress and my blood just boils and but at the end of the day, they're kids and we need to know that, and that's the way they express themselves. And and it's not their fault. They didn't ask to be here. So then when I see this cats, these dads, and I mean any kind of dad, right? I just see them in the streets, or I see them anywhere. They don't care about their kids, and it's like, come on, man, what are you thinking?
I'm right
Like
there
it's
with you,
not
man.
even their fault. But then but like I said, fatherhood. I mean, it doesn't even have to be. You have stepdad. I see stepdads are better than the regular biological dads, and it's my hats off to them. That's rough.
That's a great point you brought up, man, because I'll be honest, I have no respect for a dad that doesn't take care of the kids. I have zero respect. It's like,
Yeah.
kids are not, and I tell my kids all this time, you didn't ask to be brought here. When we were younger, we probably told our parents that I didn't ask to be brought into this world. And it's true. People have kids for their selfish needs, whether it's, because they want to have sex and they were unprotected, or they want to have kids in the future, their selfish needs and wants. That's not a bad thing, but nobody asked to be brought into this world, So when you have people that father kids, and man, especially when it comes to a girl, dude, a daughter, like this world's tough, bro. Like this world is fucking absolute. You know what's going on in the world right now, like. We'll probably have different podcasts where we talk about current events and stuff like that, but it's absolutely, it's ugly out here. And then knowing that you have a part of you out here and you have nothing to do with them, or you don't make it your first priority, and you have a baby girl. I mean, boys are good. You could, toughen them up. Hey, suck it up, buttercup, stuff like that. But when it comes to your baby girl, dude, it's like, why would you want them to fend for themselves in this world? You know what I mean? Like, I don't ever want to see the day where something takes that happiness out of her. You know what I mean?
And you have to be that figure, right? You have to be that person. Like, for example, me and my daughter, I get home and, I'm, hey dad, let's dance. Hey, okay, let's do it. We do the ballerina dance, and then and then even with my boy, whenever they want like a snack or something, I always tell her, no, your sister first, right? That way, you have to show them manners. They're small, but they see it, and then he sees it, and then, you just show them, girls for pink, blue for boy. You kind of start showing them. Like I said, that's a whole different topic. We can talk about later. But yeah, man, you got to show them. You got to, like I said, you have to show them. So the way I see it is, you have to show your daughter what a real man is, right? So when later, because the world is crazy, you don't want her to be vulnerable and then just go to the world. The first guy that says, "Hey, you're pretty," she's all falls in love, and then something happens, and that's not what you want. You want it to, when the guy does something, he's like, my dad, wait,
we just had this talk. I picked up Kayla.
Yeah, right?
I picked up Kayla yesterday from school, bro.
My dad does, but you better be better than that. Way they know what it means to be treated like a girl, right? Yeah.
Make these dudes work.
See, they're young kids. Your daughter's small. My daughter's, she's only 2.5, but still, you've been to a father-daughter dance. You know what it is. You take it to the movies. You just got to show them what a man is like, so they know what to expect in the real world, right?
Absolutely. I've always been brutally honest with my kids. Coming back to having a child at 18, people ask me this question. They always just ask me the question, oh, did you want Alex? Was your plan? I'm like, no, I tell Alex in front of his face, bro, I didn't want you. Like, you tell your own kid that, like, in front of their face? Like, yeah, like, why am I going to tell my son that I wanted a kid at 17, 18 years old? Like, that's craziness. You know what I mean? No, I didn't. I love him. I'm so glad he's here. Like, I've loved him to life. But I had this conversation with Kayla. She's a little bit older than your daughter. Well, a lot older. She's 8. And 8, yeah.
Hey.
or not. Don't come at me. But I picked her up from school, and she's like, some boy has a crush on me. And I was like, told her, babe, I was like, look, you're beautiful. I'm like, you got to just let that go, because every boy's gonna have a crush on you.
Yeah.
Growing up, dude, I was like, you don't take it as, something that's not, recognizable, or something that, is something like, oh my God, I feel so special. Yeah. Like, appreciate it.
How did you feel when she told her that? Because, oh, man.
Oh, that wasn't this last time. I'm kind of getting like.
Because my little one, she's 2.5, and she sees a boy, and she's like looking at me like, no, boys allowed. I mean, obviously, they eventually, when they get older, but man, how was that? I mean, I can't. That's rough. I mean, I'm going to get there. But,
She's getting older. But the point I was trying to make to her was like, don't be all excited like you're saying about that. Somebody's going to tell you something like that, and you're like, oh my God, like, oh, I'm all in love and stuff like that. Like, dude, every guy is going to want to like you, Kayla. Like, especially when you get older, you're beautiful. Like, don't fall for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I tell her all the time, make the guys work. If they want to like you, make them work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they're going to really fall in love with you and want to be with you and treat you special and stuff like that when you get older, have them work at it. You know what I mean? Just don't make it easy for them. Me and you are guys, bro. We've been around and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You want to be with somebody, like from what you just said right now, your wife made you earn having a child.
Yeah.
And that proved to her how much you really love and care for her, how much you really wanted it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's that confidence that she has in her, and it's amazing. That's what I want in my daughter. You know what I mean? Something where she doesn't just fall for the first dude that says, hey, you got pretty eyes or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, come on. My dad told me about guys like you, bro. Like, you're going to have to work harder for that, for my attention. Like, get the hell out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the way I felt when it first started coming up, where she had little crushes, or little boys had crushes at school and stuff, it sucks, dude. Like, it sucks. You're not going to ever be prepared for it. My wife brings it up just to get on my nerves once in a while. Like, hey, what are you going to do when she brings a boyfriend from high school around? I'm like, bro, I don't know. I have my guns in the back, just joking around, do the whole Bad Boys 2 scene where he come to the door with his gun.
Yeah, I do that.
Chitty, chitty, bang, bang. But, man, I don't, it's going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to react. I know my middle son started dating a girl in school. We had his little girlfriend, and he was a sophomore. And her parents will let him go over. And I'm like, what the hell, bro? Like, I think he would be there all day and stuff like that. And she was a good girl. But I think about it, I'm like, I ain't letting no damn boy come over here, especially at that age, just hang out here and spend the night and stuff like that. Like, nah, that's not.
No, that's I always joke around with my wife. She's like, yeah, whenever they want to go to the movies or a club, it's, oh, yeah, go ahead, movies, go to the clubs. And next thing you know, we just creep into the backside, start dancing. Meet them on a dance, like, oh, you guys are here. Oh, I didn't even know you were here. I guess we all going to party together now.
It's scary, man.
Yeah,
but I
see that.
I think what it comes down to, and the way I rationalize or prepare myself for it, is making sure that like everything I've been saying, I'm open and honest with her. I tell her about everything, like I still tell my kids about my drug abuse growing up and stuff like that, how I was with women and things of that nature. And brutally honest, you know what I mean? My wife could be the rainbows and unicorns, happy-go-lucky, life is all peachy and stuff like that. I live in a real world, you know what I mean? And I've been through shit. So I'm more of like, hey, I'm going to feed you this knowledge. I'm going to teach you and tell you what I've gone through and what to expect out there. Mm-hmm. So when the situation does come up, you'd be like, hey, my pops told me about that. Or my dad told me about guys like you. Like, all right, my dad's been through this situation. Let me call him and see, what he says and stuff like that, Having them mentally prepared and giving them the keys mentally to be able to recognize these situations is going to determine what they do, when it comes down to it. Again, when kids, everybody's their own person. They're going to do what they want. I know I did whatever the fuck I wanted growing up. Same probably with you.
Yeah.
But the only thing that keeps me sane is knowing that I was honest and let them know, what's going on, and let them know that I'm there. You know what I mean? I don't snap at them for the stupidest shit. So they know that, you know, when real problems happen,
Yeah.
they can come to Pops like, all right, he'll probably be mad, but he's not going to fucking go off on me. He's not going to, you know, treat me like shit or cuss me out or anything like that. You know, he'll be there and he'll be able to help me get through whatever it is I'm going through. You know what I mean? And I feel by not blowing up on the stupidest thing, like I'm saying a cuss word somewhere and, you know, going crazy on them or whatever, or, you know, or hitting them and stuff like that, you know, I think that that builds that relationship where they know, like, you know, my dad is cool. He'll understand, you know, shit, I'm going through this. I don't know who to talk to. Let me call my dad.
Yeah.
You know, he'll be able to help me out. You know what I mean?
Just to continue talking about fatherhood. I was listening to a podcast yesterday. I forgot the podcast I was listening to, and he says, yeah, he's like, you know, why are men not, you know, being men nowadays, right? And then he went straight to they kind of hit at home because he went straight to like, well, aren't men because they don't have dads. And I was like, well, I grew up without my dad, and I think so. So I'm saying, so I was like, you know, everything he said, I was like, well, yes and no. You know, you know, they don't have no, you know, he didn't have anybody to teach him how to be a dad, how to be a man, you know, how to treat women, how to be around men, you know. What do you think about that when they say, hey, you're a bad dad because you know, I get the you know, sometimes, you know, they tell me, hey, you're mad at your kids because your mom used to scream at you, or your dad used to hit you, or you used to, when you were growing up, they were mean at you, so now you're giving it to your kids. Like, I mean, do you think I mean, do you think it kind of the way you are now treating your kids is because of your,
So just a disclosure, I'm not an expert at any of this.
yeah,
I'm an expert at life.
yeah,
I've been through fucking, you know, we've been through a lot of shit. I've been through, you know, life, about 5 lifetimes of my life.
maybe 6,
Maybe 6. That I don't believe because, like I said, when I was young, my mom used to get beat by my dad. I had a stepdad. They used to get in physical altercations. My mom was tough, bro. She would, dudes act up. She thought she was a veterana, and she would be like, be the first one out there ready to fuck somebody up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, my mom was the opposite.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
So I was around that bad aspect of it, things that you would feel that would transition into me being a father. You know, Carlos was in a dysfunctional home. He was around drugs. His whole family were gangsters, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, he saw domestic violence, all that stuff. So you would figure it would roll into who I am and to how I raise my kids. But like I told you before, I could promise you, I'm probably the best dad there is. No, you know, offense, a good dad.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same thing about myself.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it was good. You're supposed to, you know, you think that's what you are. You're gonna become that, right?
Nobody's ever told me anything like that. Like, hey, it's because you went through this. That's why you're treating your kids like that. And that makes me happy. That makes me that you bring that up. That makes me like, I'm trying to think like, when was there a scenario when somebody told me something like that? But I give my kids love every day. I tell them I love them like 5, 15, 20 times a day.
I do too. I show all my emotions to my kids.
I get off of work in the morning. I work overnights, and it's 5 a.m. I'm about to go to bed. I wake up my daughter with kisses and just let her know I love her. Like, I love her. And like, same thing with my boys. Like, I would hold them so much that they would be like, get off me, Pops. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, nah, bro, come in. Even now, like, so my relationship and my bonds with my kids has no, and it could have been the counter of what you're saying. And instead of me bringing all that toxic, you know,
as I'm saying, it's probably was the other way around. Like,
I made sure
I got
I
all
did
this, so I'm gonna bring it this way, right? So
absolutely.
So I think that's what it is.
And I think that's what taught me, not realizing it, but knowing, you know, I didn't like any of that. I didn't like all that stuff, you know, all that shit that was happening to me growing up. I don't want to feed that same energy out. And it's just natural, you know, how I treat my kids that way. So I don't know, man. Like, I hear people saying, oh, my dad never hugged me. You know, my dad, like, I post stuff on social media. I post my kids and stuff we do all the time. You know, gentlemen, if you see this, tag EMT. I want to see you guys out there being great parents, great ambassadors to your family and stuff like that. You know, tag EMT, we'll repost it. That's what we're about, you know, putting out that positive energy out there, that, you know, things that we should be doing as men, strong, you know, leaders in our family and stuff like that. So I posted it with my kids and I get replies back like, man, I never had a dad that did that. You know, I just took my daughter to a wrestling event, you know, so many responses and awesome replies back. Like, oh man, I wish, my dad did that with me, stuff like that,
Yeah.
and it's like, I don't think of it like that. I just think of it as, times I just want to spend with my
Yeah.
kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then I think one thing we should do as men that I really don't see it is we need to acknowledge each other, right? And when you do something right, when hey, I love that you like this with your kid, I love that you're doing this with your daughter. I love that, like I tell you, when it's you and your daughter, it's you and your daughter, and I love that, right? I think us as men, we never really, we just brush it off,
Yeah.
right?
It's the,
And it's hard to kind of just say, hey, I'm proud of you for that. And that's good. I think we need to do that. I think, just a couple of times you tell me, hey, you did this workout, you're strong, and then, you did this, and I'm proud of you for doing that. You're running your businesses. You always give me a one up. And the same thing with you. I see you, I give you the one up, even when coach, when he does a good class, hey, good job today. Amazing job today.
absolutely, man. Like we're so used to putting people down, like when it comes to like been social media trolls and all that stuff.
Yeah. That's why I don't have a social media, but
Yeah.
I need.
I'm the biggest troll, but I've learned not to do it, man, because I just joke around.
For EMT, I need to show my head. I mean, it's a little bit shiny today, but I need to wear a
We don't
hat.
have a makeup artist yet. We will get one. But absolutely, man. Like one thing, being a man,
Yeah.
you never hear, or I never heard growing up, how proud I am of you, or I love you, all that mushy stuff. And when we do hear it, it's kind of like, well, to me, I was like, oh, like it feels weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember the one time, one of my boys, I forgot what we were doing. We were hanging. We didn't see each other for a while, and then we're leaving. He's like, "Hey, bro, I love you," and I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, that was weird.
You look back
Yeah, I'm like,
to me.
a grown ass man telling me he loves me. I was like, all right, bro. I was like, all right, see you later, bro. And then I was thinking about it, and I was like, man, we're all human. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We're all on this fucking this shit show, this earth
And
together.
you don't know where you're at in life, right? You
Yeah.
don't know, like, it's like I said the other day, Mario, I told you, I was
Yeah.
just, I'm going through some things right now with my mom, and, we had a nice chat, and he just, out of the blue, he just texted me, hey, how you doing? How you holding up? How's mom's, And we only talked once, and it was like in the middle of the day, and I hit, and I was like, man, that's what it's all about.
Right.
That's what it's all
There's
about,
an
man.
impact.
Oh yeah, and I told him, I thank you, I appreciate it. Thanks for reaching out. You didn't have to do it, but you took time out of your day. That means, that means you were thinking of me, and that means a lot. You know what I mean? And it felt really good. Like I said, just knowing that somebody was thinking about you in a random hour, random day, and hey, just thinking about you. How you doing, man? You holding up? Keep your head up. And I was like, man, that felt good.
Yeah. And I think the reason why it's awkward because it goes to we weren't raised
Yeah.
with that type of feeling. I had to realize he didn't love me in a type of like a homosexual type of way or a kind of weird way that way.
Yeah, anywhere,
It
way,
was
yeah.
like I love you as a person. I
Yeah.
love you for who you are, being my friend. Ever since that day, dude, the people that are close to me, guys, I tell them that all the time. Sometimes they stay back, sometimes they don't. And I know that they'll probably have that same like kind of feeling like, oh, like did he really say that? Like, oh, this is a dude telling me he loves me for it. But the people that are close to me, like, dude, like I love and appreciate you as a person, as a human, as just wanting to be around me and being, somebody I could depend on or trust, like you, like your family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Me too.
I
Me
think
too.
that comes with just how we're raised, and like you said, men not being men these days and things of that nature. I think the environment's changing a lot, and there's everybody's their own person, and everybody can be who they want to be. As long as they're not hurting anybody, I don't care.
Yeah.
I love everybody for who they are, what they want to do, who they want to be, things of that nature. But I think just the way, and it's a known thing, the way the world was 20, 30, 40 years from today was a lot different than what it is now.
Oh yeah.
So it's just navigating those feelings, those emotions, and what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with. You know what I mean? But I don't know, the discussion of what's being a man and stuff like that and being a good man. I think a man is somebody that holds their own. You know what I mean? That is strong, that it stands their ground. You know what I mean? Whatever they believe in, they stand their ground. They're not manipulated. They're not indecisive. They know what they want and they know how to get it.
Yeah.
whether it comes to their health and fitness, whether it comes to business, whether it comes to being a leader in their community or a leader of their family. I think just taking that responsibility and not shying back from it and doing it. I think that's what being a man is.
Yeah,
You know?
I agree. Yeah, I think that's going to be our next topic. We talk about, being a man and the society, what it is, and things that we see now that, I mean, like I said, there's a lot going on in the world right now. That's what we started, is to kind of bring back, the masculinity in men, man being man again.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I agree in everything you said. Um, but yeah, man, that's good. I mean, what else? I mean, sticking to the fatherhood and
No, dude, like being a leader in your family. I feel that, a man and family aspect of things has to be the one people could depend on. Then again, I have to be careful with that because a lot of the stuff that I've accomplished up until today, um, was with the support of my wife. You know what I mean? And she takes on a lot on her plate. Anybody that knows her knows
so
that.
she saved you too.
Absolutely not. Although she wants to say, she might want to say.
I think she saved you.
No, man, I've been on my own since I was 17. Nobody saved me. But she has had a major impact in where I'm at today. Absolutely. You know what I mean? She is a leader in her own way, and she leads the family in her own way. And I think it's not that saying that I'm a leader as in she's under me. I think we do it together.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean? But when shit goes down, I know that I'm gonna be the one to fucking be there. And
well, I'm saying that's what the manhood, being a man, comes into play, right? There's different roles. There's a manly man and there's a man. There's like going back to being a man. Yes, you're the father, but then you also change the diapers, you also clean the house, you also do this, right? Being a man, and I pay the bills and you do the rest. I think but I mean. I think being a man, I mean, now that we're talking about being man, um, I think you have to be everything, right? You have to be, being a man, you have to be, help, there's some families have two incomes, some families have one income. You have to bring income, you have to be responsible, you have to have a strong back, thick skin. And you have to have, I get home, I'm tired sometimes, and I wash the dishes, I do the clothes, I sweep, I do everything, and so does my wife. I think being a man, it's sharing the responsibilities with everyone around you, right? You're just doing everything and that's just me talking the way I am, right? I don't. There's this whole machismo and I mean, there's certain things that you do and I do, right? Like I'm the only one that takes out the trash because that's me, right? But then, she's the one that there's only certain thing that she does. When I clean the outside, she cleans the inside. And I mean, that's just the wrong cleaning, but even she knows the responsibility about being a man too, right? When I talk to my kids, when I show them how to, being a father figure. So she lets me step in. When they cry, they go to her. When they want to play and be monkey around, they come to me. So there's always a separation about, when you have to be a man, right? So I think, I think, I don't know, it's rough because I don't see that many men anymore. You do see it like here and there, but the other day I went to this bar. I mean, I feel sorry for all the single ladies out there, but man, it's rough out
what
there.
I hear is rough out there.
I see them, these guys, they have their nails finger painted and, they're, I don't know about the haircuts they got right now. The clothes they're wearing. I mean, pick your pants up. Nobody wants to see your ass crack. It's rough, man. It's a rough world out there. And I think, I mean, like I say, people could think what they want to think. Like I said, it's just me and you talking, and I think for the most part, we think and we kind of have the same idea of what a man should be, right? That's why, we get along very well. We have, even in the gym, bro says, so, but then, like I say, we're weak with our kids,
Why do you think, I would say, women or even women think that a lot of that is toxic or toxic masculinity? Why do you think there's like we have bro sessions all the time?
Yeah.
We have I don't give a fuck attitude. You're a little nicer than I am.
I think
people
that
love you a little bit more.
Yeah. No, I think the whole the whole the feminists or women being more in it because men started it started being less of a man, so the women had to step up for that role, right? So I mean, that's what I think it happened. I mean, obviously it takes time, but I think there's just not that many real men out there. So women, they're like, I can just do. That's why you have all the single ladies, and you have, hey, I don't need a man to do this because I'm so strong, and they start making the money and this and this. I mean, even if there's always a need for a man. Like I say, there is that one, situation, that they always say, yeah. You think you're all the manly man, but at 2 o'clock in the morning, somebody some gunshots, who's gonna get up and answer the door, right? We are so I just think it's that's just like I said, it's my opinion. There's nothing against anyone, but I just believe that men are not what they used to be.
I mean, you have other countries that I think have that same point of view, where they're training, a lot of these dictatorships, these other countries, where they're seeing that a lot of people on social media all the time, so they're cutting that stuff off. Men doing all, the dancing and stuff like that on, TikTok and all that stuff. So they're training them and putting them through masculinity classes and things like that.
Yeah. To spend $10,000 and become a man in 3 days.
Yeah.
Give me half of that. I give it in one. I got some bills to pay. I got
For
you.
real. But I mean, I think, I mean, again, don't get me wrong. Anybody to each their own, whatever they want to do. Just me and my household and the way I was raised and the things that, the way I represent myself as a man. I was born in the 80s. Probably watching the hardest hitting football in my life growing up. I was into sports, all that stuff. So yeah, maybe there's a lot of it that's toxic, and a lot of people can't handle it, and maybe that's why they want to push away from it. But this is why I wanted to create this space for us to be able to be our true selves without having that fear of somebody judging us as being toxic. This fool loves watching, people get hit real hard on a football game or stuff like that. Or, he's over here grinding and stuff during a workout session and things like that, or whatever the case may be. Now, there is a point where, when it comes to family dynamics, where there can be toxic masculinity.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You can get carried away with that.
And I think that's where we need to decipher differentiate between the two. You know what I mean? Being a man doesn't mean hitting your wife. I have no respect for a man that doesn't take care of the kid. I have no respect for a man that hits a female.
Yeah, that's not a man.
You know what I mean? That's not a man. So that's toxic.
Yeah.
Putting your hands and being forceful with somebody, that's toxic.
Yeah, I agree.
I could tell you on one hand how many times I had to hit my kids. My daughter, I've never laid a hand on her. She knows that I would never lay a hand on her. I'm more of the aspect of letting her know, hey, I'm disappointed, and giving that sad face, and that's gonna make her feel bad and not want her to do bad again. You know what I mean? My boys, there was, I can tell you on one hand how many times I hit my oldest son one time, and that's because he deserved it. He threw a rock at his cousin, busted his head open and stuff like that. So he had to get the belt, a controlled, spanking. I cried when I did it because I didn't want to hurt my kid. I didn't want to put him in pain, but he did something really bad. And that was the last time. And he'll tell you to today, that's the last time I ever did something bad.
Yeah.
My middle son, Damien, oh, bro, that's another story, man. He's the one that put all the grays in my beard. But even still, like, I talk to them and try to communicate with them more than anything before it has to get into anything where I'm yelling and screaming or having to, get the belt on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think differentiating the difference between being a man and holding that role, I'll battle anybody and let them know when it comes to raising a kid that if they say they don't need a man in their life, especially if you have a boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think wholeheartedly that to raise a good boy, raise a good man, they have to have that male role model. They have to have that father figure in there.
It doesn't have to be, like I say, a dad. It just has to be a father figure.
It has to be, because like you said, when it comes to your daughter and she's crying, she goes to mama. That's the emotional support right there. No matter how much emotional support I try to give my daughter, sometimes she just wants mom. You know what I mean?
I hear.
And I get that. But when it comes to being tough, when it comes to, hey, everything's going to be all right. Right now, for example, my son in high school, he had his car and he got into his first car accident. He was with his girlfriend. Tire blew out. He spun out. First person he called was me.
Yeah.
And he's like, Pops, like, I don't know what to do. I'm on the side of the freeway. Like, we spun out, we hit the middle of the intersection. My girl's crying, blah, blah, blah. I was like, hey, bro, take a deep breath. I was like, right now's the time you got to be a man.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Right now, you have to be calm. She's hectic. Make sure she's fine.
Yeah.
Take control of the situation. Make sure everybody's good, and make sure, even though you don't feel like you have control of the situation, pretend that you do.
Yeah, you have to act like that. Yeah.
Act like it. Calm down. Make sure everybody's okay.
Yep.
You're going to be okay. Everybody's safe, right? Yeah, everybody's good. All right, cool. Then you have to be that rock. You have to be. And I'll always remember that time when he called, man. I was at Disneyland, and he called me, and I was like, all right. And just giving him that advice, giving him that what you need to do to take charge in this situation is what I'm talking about. And I think that's where we're on the same page at.
Yeah.
That's being a man right there. That's making sure the people around you are taken care of, especially in those situations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be that rock.
You have to be that, yeah. Like I said, my kids are still too small for any of those situations, but they're babies. If you're gonna be a dad, be a dad. You know, my wife was pregnant. I went to every single appointment. I go to all my kids' doctor's appointment. I go to all, my boy. He has all these meetings he has to go to. I never miss any of them. Just be there.
I miss a lot. I wish I could go to all of them. I don't know how you make them all, man. I feel so bad.
I have to, man. I feel bad if I don't. I mean, now it's harder to make all of them.
And energy into it, but it's for a positive. It's for a future. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they understood. I still feel bad. I still feel bad at a lot of stuff. That's where, my wife stepped up. She's fucking amazing. She doesn't miss anything, and she's involved in everything. I don't know how she does it. I thought my schedule was busy. She just keeps volunteering for stuff and things of that nature. So she feels she does a lot to be able to make everything function. You know what I mean? And I'm thankful for that. But yeah, I try to make the major things. You know what I mean? Even if it's for an hour or two, just to make an appearance. I always told my ex, I don't want to be, when it came to being a part-time dad, when I first left her or whatever. And I'm cool with all my exes. We still talk. They're best friends with Sarah and stuff like that. But I was like, I never want to be, I watch a lot of movies, a lot of TV and stuff like that. That kid that's sitting on the stairs waiting for their dad, and they're just they never show.
Oh man. Whenever I'm running late to pick up my kids, oh my God, I hate it. I have to be the first one there, especially when they're walking out from school. I hate to have my kids wait, man. I don't know. I can't do it.
And then it comes naturally, right?
Yeah,
it's not something that you plan on doing.
Yeah, I like to be early on everything. That's just me. I like to have a schedule. I like to stick to it. I hate being late, so I'm always on time and early for everything. Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about that. Yesterday, I was late picking up my daughter. I was scared. I was like, shit. But I get there, and she's like, about time, Dad. But yeah, it's crazy. So I see you wrote some topics down. With these podcasts, I want to be more free flowing and not try to stick to a script. And I think we're doing really well. Yeah. But I did see something that I wasn't really going to touch on, but because it's just my own vulnerabilities. But I think it's a great topic, and I know I don't know about you. You seem more of an emotional type of guy.
I just like how you give me shit, but now you're going to my paperwork.
Yeah, I'm going to your paperwork.
Yeah,
but I saw emotional availability and vulnerability, and a lot of people that know me would probably try to turn the volume up right now and see what we have to say about that. I think being, when it comes to being a man, we suppress a lot of those emotions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have some really good friends, you know who you guys are, that are always in my ear telling me to talk about my feelings, talk about my past, talk about things of that nature. And full disclosure, I'm good. Like who I am today and where I've been and what I've been through, my life, like I'm good. Like I'm really happy. If I tell people if I were to die tomorrow, I could look back and say, you know what, I was happy. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm good. I'm happy. I'm content. Yeah, of course I want more things,
we all do,
all that stuff.
I'm telling you, all day long.
But like with my kids, with my family, with who I am, where I'm at now in life, like I'm truly happy. You know what I mean? So I don't need to bring up a lot of that stuff. I don't need to bring up a lot of my past. Like today alone, I talked a lot about it, but I don't understand how people, especially when you get older, like I'm 45, I'm not going to sit there and cry about something that happened to me when I was 15.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you learn from that's it.
Yeah. There's nothing you could do about
Yeah.
it. You either be a victim or you fucking man up and you
Yeah,
put your
I
big
agree.
pants on and you fucking look towards your future
Yeah.
and, you know, the happiness that you could create in the future, you know? There's nothing I could do to fucking change.
No, because it made you who you are, right? If it didn't happen, you wouldn't be who you are. If it didn't happen, you wouldn't have the stories. If it didn't happen, you wouldn't be the dad that you are. If something didn't happen, you wouldn't be, the coach or the person, or, you probably wouldn't even be here. You'd probably be somewhere else, 10, 15, 20 kids, or maybe,
Could have been
just
dead,
no
bro.
kids. So,
I didn't
yeah,
honestly. I didn't think I was going to
you
live
just
past
never
25
know.
years old. You know.
Yeah.
How do you handle the emotional, whether it's like getting into it with your wife, the responsibility of making sure like the bills are paid and stuff like that? I guess that's the more emotional toll that we take. As a man, the machismo. I know you're in your culture, you're more machismo kind of thing. You know what I mean? Am I wrong? Like you have to hold that yourself up to a certain standard, taking care of your family, your bills, stuff like that. Is there any times where it gets too like emotional, and how do you handle it? Yeah,
Every day. Every single day. That's the reason why I'm always in my head. Like I don't listen.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, always. I have a big ass head.
I didn't mean it like that, but
No, I mean, but I mean, deep diving into this, I don't tell anyone. I mean, so I'm gonna say it now. I'm always in my head. That's the reason why I don't watch TV. I don't. My radio in my car is off. The only thing I listen to is like podcasts or YouTube video. Um, so I'm always thinking. I used to, back in the days, I used to write a lot. Um, that was when I was younger.
do you
Um,
journal?
I used to journal. I used to write poems.
I done that for I
Yeah,
did
a
that.
long time ago. But yeah, man. But
Thought I was Tupac for a little bit.
yeah, no, but me, yeah,
So,
but me, I'm always, it's a lot. I have a lot, and I mean,
so how do you handle it? What do you
I don't
do?
know. I mean, to be honest with you, I really don't. I think it's not about. I think I just hold it in too much that sometimes, like I guess, I let it out. That's why I told my wife yesterday too. Is like sometimes I get home and I let it on the kids, right? And that's not good because they're just kids, and I mean I don't hit them or nothing, but I just be like, all right, just leave me alone. I go take a shower for like half an hour, or go to the restroom, or I just walk away, go water the grass. And I like to be. I like to be alone because I like to think, right? I'm always in my head, but it's rough. It's a good question because to being honest with you, I don't think I have an answer to that because I have a lot going on. I have a job in the morning. I have my business. I'm trying to do a startup. I have my kids. I have bills. I have medical bills. I have my mom. She has stage 4 cancer. I'm dealing with that. I just have it's just a lot. So how do I handle it? I don't know. I think I just go through it. I think me, the gym. I love the gym. That's my 1 hour. When I get there, it's 1 hour of not of thinking. And then that's when you see me work out, put my head down, I just sweat. I go to that point when I'm like exhausted because after you're done, you just relieve, right? So that's why I think the gym is a big, big stress reliever. And I thank you for that.
Absolutely.
You always was going hard on that, but yeah, it's a tough question. It's really tough. To be honest with you, um, I do cry sometimes. I mean, especially when I find out my mom. Um, yeah, it's an emotional subject.
Yeah, it's hard. And I think this is the reason why I love that you're doing this
Yeah,
with me because
that one hit.
that's why I love doing this with you because we're both raw, we're open,
Yeah,
and we both want the same thing out of this group. We want to be able to have these conversations, whether it's me and you
yeah,
or with other people that that become members and be a part of EMT. It doesn't always have to be like these type of discussions, but it's good to get it off.
yeah,
And, like you were saying, so I used to be a drug addict and I used to handle being on my own since I was 16, 17 years old. That I used to self-medicate, and I was hard into it. It used to be my life.
yeah.
And that used to get me through my days. I gone through college on drugs and stuff like that. So I was a functioning, what they call a functioning addict. It suppressed a lot of the feelings of being alone, not having family and stuff like that, because I didn't have anybody. Yeah, my mom and dad were alive, but they weren't there. They were on. My dad left when I was 7. He was a dope head. My mom, same thing. She was a dope head. And I didn't want that for my life, so that's why I left. But I kept that stuff in my life because I would self-medicate. I would make money off of it. Blah blah blah. Being sober over since 2004, I had to find an outlet. I had to find a way to
Yeah.
to do it. And my way to handle a lot of this stuff is the gym, is working out. And I tell people that I coach and stuff like that. I beat myself up in the gym, so the world can't beat me up.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? And it's true. What I mean by that is how you said you get in there, you put your head down, you bust your ass till you're exhausted, and then when you leave,
Yeah.
nothing, everything else just bounces off.
Body is different.
Somebody wants to yell at you, you're like, man, I'm too tired to even fucking deal with that shit.
Yeah.
You know, bills come, and all right, I'll deal with that later.
And you feel good about yourself.
You feel good about
big
yourself.
thing. That's a big thing. I think that's,
You have a good session in
big
there.
thing.
Yeah, dude, me and you have killer workouts. You push me, you motivate me, and then like I'm surprised I can keep up with you. So yeah, absolutely, those endorphins hit, things of that nature. But a lot of it is, I tell my close friend and my partner Yvette, I don't know what I would do if I couldn't work out. I don't know. I don't know what other outlet. I mean, I have a lot of talents and things that I could do. I know how to draw, paint. I know how to fix stuff. Things like that. But something to where I could do as a good hobby every day, or something to keep me, keep that stress down and stuff like that. I don't know what I'd do if I couldn't work out again.
Yeah.
At our gym, Yvette has a group of men that we host at the gym that are in recovery centers and stuff like that. And when she brought it to my attention, I was all aboard on that. It was something I was like, are you serious? Like, dude, I'm so down to do that.
And I've been there once. I worked actually twice with them. Yeah, these
guys come in,
put their hair down as well, and they're with you. They've
have
been
so
through
much
a lot.
fun. And it's just showing somebody that there's we have our members. We have people come in, people who normally work out and they know what it's about and stuff like that. They come in. But these guys, a lot of them never worked out before. They don't know what it is. They're either drug addicts or recovery and stuff like that. And it hit home to me, and it hits home to me because I'm them. I was them. I could easily be in that situation again. But showing them that, hey, you could exhaust all this energy on something positive, on yourself, building yourself up, making yourself healthier and stronger, which is in turn going to help you be a better man, a better person for, your community, your family and stuff like that, and get you away from all that negativity. It fed me, bro. It fed me. After our first one that I did, I sat in the car with her and I teared up because I was like, damn, bro, like these guys are me. Like, I was them at one point in time, and just being able to help them out and how happy they were and stuff like that, that empowered me. That showed me that, man, something as little as your physical fitness or working out and stuff like that can change somebody.
Yeah. And sometimes it just takes that one person. It just takes that one person to kind of just bring you from left to right, right? And that's what we're hoping for this group.
Absolutely.
We're going to grow it. We have a lot of good members already. We have strong people already there. They go to the events with us. They're always talking about when's the next event happening. What are we doing? They're giving us ideas as well. We have a lot of ideas that are coming. But that's the whole purpose of the EMT. We want to empower each other. All it takes is one person. Like I said, you don't know what they're going through, right? Somebody like myself, I keep to myself. Now I get to talk to you. I get to always get there early. Me and you, we chit chat. You just need that one person, because yes, you have your family. Yes, you have your wife and your kids and everything. But sometimes you just need to shut the can with someone else and let's just talk like bros, and then boom, all right, done. I'll see you next time. Yeah. That's all it takes.
And that's what, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one thing I've always emphasized with you. You're more structured than I am. You're my yin to my yang. You know what I mean? I'm chaos.
So cute.
I'm chaos, and just like, let's just do it. We die. You're more, no, I got to warm up for 30 minutes. I got to have a plan. I got to have a list of stuff. Like, I'm like, bro. So we complement each other. But
yeah, I know.
But you're right.
Slow you down sometimes.
I want this group to be just free flowing and natural. Yeah. And that's one thing that I'm glad that I've stuck with through all our conversations and our ideas that we've had, is that I want everybody to, this is not, our group is not a gym thing. It's not my business. It's not your business. It's not just somebody for that's recovering, or it's not a workout thing. It's not
For a CEO, it's
yeah.
not for a drive.
It's open for everybody and
everybody.
everybody, and it's a separate entity, and it's a place where I want all men to be able to come in and just like when we get to the gym, we're just talking and shooting the shit. I was like, and I stop and I say, this is exactly what I want this to be.
Yeah.
I want everybody to be able to do this and have a safe space where they can come in, meet like-minded people, and be able to be themselves without having to worry about, oh, stop mansplaining something to me, or oh, like you're being too tough right now, or you said a cuss word, or you know what I mean, or you're not doing this and that right. And I think we get beat down by the world and all that enough that we need that space for us to be able to relax and breathe.
Yeah.
And I want everybody to know that you're more than welcome to come. Like, again, it's not a gym thing.
Yep.
It's not his other business thing. It's not.
Everything's totally separate.
I want you guys to come and be able to, it's a resource group. It's, a lot of us have businesses, even those that don't have businesses. You may be a handyman. You may have, be a tattoo artist or whatever the case
might
is.
need a job. Somebody might help you with a job, help you find a job. There's, like I said, there's a lot of things where you're going to do a fundraiser. There's so many things we have. We'll release them pretty soon, but there's a lot in the works. But yeah, like I said, sometimes, our therapy is just shit in the can, having a beer, talking. That's sometimes you just need just that small little reset. Like, all right, I'm good till next time, right?
This is the last thing thought I'd ever be doing. You might not believe it, but I'm very shy when it comes to speaking. You know what I mean?
But yeah, like I said, I think that's a great platform too, right? We also want to have this, sometimes because there's a lot of people talking when we have our meetings. I think something like this, maybe, members you guys want to come, let us know. We'll talk. Being quiet, it seems more intimate, right?
But please understand, we're not certified at anything.
Yeah.
We're not therapists. We're not coach counselors, life counselors, nothing. But that's the point. We want to get people that are. So if you, hey, Los, I'm going through this. Do you know anybody? Yeah, we have a member. He's certified. He's a good dude. Here's his information. Someone comes, Julio, hey, dude, I'm looking to refi my house or something like that. Oh, we got somebody that's a really good agent, somebody that can help you out. So please understand, this is not just one category. This is a men's support group and business group. We want to be able to be a resource center for everybody to help each other, build each other up, and be great, strong men. You know what I mean?
Get back to the community as well.
And to ourselves. Yeah. It fills that need for me too, because it's,
Yeah, but how good, I mean, like for example, last week, how good did it feel after you guys helped that veteran, right? It just feels, feels amazing. And you have to do it. You have to, when you want, same thing, I went last week, I did this a site fair. We gave away almost 300 glasses. I saw one person, some lady, she had
prescription glasses.
Prescription glasses. She got eye exam. First time ever getting glasses.
I saw that line.
She put them on. She, oh my God, I can see, because they just can't afford it. Yeah. It's just volunteering.
Can we get something out in the open real quick? And I'm tired of this. Like, this is not like the beginning of social media times anymore. It's a lot different. I put a post out there about volunteering. People are really on social media and they just repost stuff and they comment stuff and everything like that. And I put a post out there about how about we stop all the comments and go out there and do something. You know what I mean? Go out there and volunteer, help somebody in real life, not just repost something or anything like that. And I got some people talking back, oh, a lot of people don't want to put themselves out there and brag about how they volunteer. Why not?
Yeah, you should.
Why not go out there and post that you're out here putting in work and helping people out? Because it's going to motivate somebody. And if it motivates one person, it's going to motivate it. Just like when I put out workout videos. Shit, I'm not a bodybuilder or anything. I don't have a perfect physique.
It motivates me to beat you by 1 pound.
Exactly. You see, I put it out there because I do get feedback that, hey, you know what? Dude, I wasn't going to go to the gym today. I saw you doing this, and I got up and went. I'm not saying go out there and if you're feeding the homeless, go and post their faces on social media and be like that. Absolutely not. But if you're going to do something good for the community or for somebody, like the volunteer events that we all do and stuff like that, why not post it? Yeah. I think that's what social media is for, to be able to put that information out there and get people motivated. You know what I mean?
And when you do it, make sure that, you guys tag us, EMT, because we want to show you all. We want to show, not only to your followers, to all followers, to everyone. Everyone needs to see, good in the community. and that's the way.
Everybody's reposting all this bad shit that's going on in the world, all the bombings, all this and that and the other. But they're afraid to post that they're out there, they're going to volunteer and they did something good for somebody. Makes absolutely no fucking sense to me. Like, come on, man. But yeah, dude.
Yeah, but on that note, well,
I don't know how much time passed. This was a good one. I actually like this one.
This is good.
Hopefully next time we're going to have a special guest speaker.
Yeah.
For our next podcast. I know we got one lined up for our meeting.
Yeah.
July 12th. We're going to have our next meeting. We did it in the middle of July because the last 2 months have been pretty hectic with scheduling and stuff. So these dates are subject to change. I'm trying to shoot for the last Saturday of each month.
Yeah.
But again, determining November and December is coming up. So I know those are going to be crazy months to try to get a meeting in. But we'll work around it. So hopefully everybody is flexible. I'm not trying to do too much. So that way it doesn't feel like a responsibility, but, trying to figure out the dates. We'll have a calendar set up. I know Julio's on me about setting up, planning my future for the next 5 years.
I'll plan it. I have a vision, and we're going to get there. I promise.
Absolutely. But please let us know if you want to come on here and just shoot the shit. If you want to talk, if you want to promote your business, bro, we want to empower you to be able to promote your business. We'll help you out. It's our pleasure to do so. If you want to come on here and just talk about your life, a certain topic, let us know. We'll schedule. Don't be shy. Again, like I never thought I would be doing this, but these two podcasts, they're pretty good, man.
We're still learning. We got new mics, maybe new lighting, but it's gonna get better. Like I said, I don't know how it happens in all the whole algorithm, but like and follow, subscribe.
Scared. I'm gonna ask Kayla to come in and do a little exit. Please like and share.
We should. But as I say, just share with your friends. If you like it, if you don't like it, improvements. Send us an email, send us whatever it is. Even
if you want to hate on us. Maybe we'll bring it up as a topic and we'll look into it, and it'll feed more of the stuff that we need to put out there. You know what I mean? We're not perfect. These are all just our own ideas. We don't endorse anybody or anything but myself.
And if I see you guys want to sponsor us, it's okay. I'm just kidding.
Hey, good shit, bro. Appreciate you.
See you guys next time. Bye.